Well this morning. We welcome you out. We know that it's always sometimes difficult to get here on time, so we hope that others will arrive as we continue to go through our agenda. I appreciate you all being here today. With that being said, I will do the attendance along with any declarations of conflict. If you could advise at that time when your name is being called, it would be most appreciated. Stephen Handy.
Part of the housing navigation system with McKendree.
Ryan Lampa. Deidre Childress. Alex Smith.
No conflict.
Beth Shin.
Here, no conflict.
Catherine Knowles. Deanna Allen Robb.
Present, no conflicts.
I'm present, no conflicts. Amber Ellis. Sheila Decker. Tracy Pekovich. Councilwoman Toombs. Councilwoman Evans.
Present, no conflicts.
Councilwoman Sepulveda. Will Conley.
Present. Park Center has a contract with Metro and also MDHA.
Waddell Wright. Laura Ferguson Mims. Vicky Batcher. Wendell Seagroves. Jeff Gibson.
Present. I serve on the board at Room in the Inn.
Tom Turner. And then staff, Renee Pratt. Treva Gilligan. Ginger Hauser. And then there's April and Susie. All right, thank you all so much. At this time, we will recognize those who have lost their lives due to homelessness in the month of May. Letha Hayes, Jennifer Motil, Michael Duke, Jeremy Culbertson, Donald Murphy, and Lawrence Adams. If we could take a moment to remember those lives. All right, thank you all. Moving forward in our agenda, before you and also sent by email, you should have the May 2023 Homelessness Planning Council minutes. At this time, I will entertain any noted corrections.
Just a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Under agenda item 3, the business, did we still have an interim director at that time?
At that time, it would be interim because during her report, it was announced that she was hired as the director. Any other questions or noted corrections? All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Allison, for getting these to us. Moving forward from our MHEAD Director report, April Calvin.
Hello, everyone. My mic on? Great. So there's a lot of great things. There's a lot of buzz in our department. I do want to say thank you all for congratulating me last month. I wasn't here, but received a lot of positive emails and great phone calls, and excited to move forward. So thank you for that. As we're looking to move forward with setting up an Office of Homeless Services, July 1 will be the go date, right? That's the beginning of the fiscal year for MDH or for Metro, and also identifying key staff positions have become like a full-time job, getting enough staff hired on, hiring our CFO and our HR. There's a lot of, you'll see new faces sitting here with us today. So there's a lot going on in our department. The budget will go towards Metro Council at the end of June for our department. So more to come on that soon. And I'm pleased to say Mayor John Cooper kind of tasked us with reviewing the normal budget that we've always submitted under Metro Social Services, but also tasked us with ensuring that we had enough funding in the budget to help other nonprofits or faith-based agencies to continue the great work that they're doing to help with addressing homelessness in Nashville. So that's exciting. Also would like to say thank you to Executive Director Renee Pratt for all of the many years that this department has lived under her guidance, and all of the great work that she's put into helping us move forward. She has agreed not to drop us like a hot potato, so thank you for that. Let's see. So there's a lot of hiring going on. Also funding. So I know there's always a lot of questions that come through, I guess, through Susie and others about the $50 million investment. Every month, I know a lot happens within a month's time, but every month you all receive the same package that we actually present to Metro Council like maybe 2 weeks before. So just want you all to know that package is always at your fingertips. So if you have any, and it's also emailed out. So if you have any questions, you have access to that. But so the $50 million, you know, I'll go over it really quick. There is the $9 million gap interim housing, that a mobile housing navigation center and a hotel conversion. They're operating that program. They were instrumental in helping to provide interim housing for people that are coming out of encampments. So I think to date we have 138 people that were recently housed from encampments there, and the demographics and the makeup, it's on the back of the second page. And then there is the gap financing. You will know or remember that Metro or MDHA actually released the RFP. There's about $13 million that brought on 63 units, and they're looking to release the second phase of that RFP soon. Let's see. And then the Housing First Support Services, pleased to announce that Metro Council, the first of this month, June 6th, I believe, actually awarded the 6 applicants for support services. And so that's bringing on intensive case management, clinical recovery options, intensive inpatient detox options, along with comprehensive health care, nutrition, peer support, and SOAR access as well. So it's a really well-rounded package. We actually have bi-monthly collective meetings. We've had our second at this point, where all of those support services are actually in a room. We're trying to do hybrid, but it doesn't work out so good. But they're actually in a room, and they're able to network and socialize with others, really bringing people that are outside of our normal service provider realm back to the table. So some of those recovery programs that when HUD's focus changed, they maybe have not attended a lot of the homeless efforts. So they're back at the table, and I'm excited about that. Towards the end of the very first meeting, someone said, this is really exciting to see this amount of buzz and energy taking place around new funding. And then the Low Barrier Housing Collective, that is bringing on, we have about 145 properties that have provided at least 88 housing options for utilizing our sign-on bonus. And then here, coming up within the next week, there will be an RFP that's released for the competitive funds. I typically don't go, the competitive grant, that is a $4 million grant. I typically don't go through this package in that great of a detail. So I'm going to move forward pretty fast just because I know we have a robust agenda. Do want to talk a little bit about the strategic plan. You're going to hear about that in a little bit from Jeff and Dr. Beshin and probably Hannah. But I want you to know there's two other upcoming housing surge strategies that you're going to hear about. One, as you may know, we talked a little bit 2 months ago where MDHA tasked us with utilizing vouchers in a faster pace because there are some that are time limited, and then there's some that's, based on a funding scale that's time limited. So there is a housing surge that, with the assistance of Housing NOLA, SHK Consulting and her team, she's bringing in some extra assistance that's going to help with a 2-week housing surge that will enhance the utilization of vouchers. We're excited about that. You'll hear more about that within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And they're also going to bring, they're working with Susie through a planning grant to help with training and leaving some recorded material so that our community can always utilize that to train new staff and to encourage current staff. And then also United Way, Safe Haven, and a couple of other agencies are working on doing a kickoff for housing families during the summer, which is huge and instrumental because the mission, this is the time that they experience the highest volume of families during the summer, and this is going to come right on time for that. I have a lot more to say, but I'll stop there just because I know we have a robust agenda. Any questions before I end?
All right, thank you so much, April. We will now have a report from the MDHA collaborative applicant, Susie Tolmie.
Thanks, Jaha. Morning. I'll make this brief as well. You'll see at the bottom of your agenda the dates for the Chattanooga Regional Conference on Homelessness. It's an educational event that the Chattanooga Coalition puts on every year. And this year they've extended the invitation to all of the continuum of care entities across the state. It will be from the 27th to the 29th, and we are using some of the MDHA COC planning funds to assist 16 folks, a few of you on the HPC, to attend both the hotel rooms and the conference. Or this registration is going to be paid for using those grants. It ought to be an exciting conference, and we'll all be taking copious notes to let you know what you learn. We're anticipating the drop of what's called the NOFO, the Notice of Funding Opportunity, for the annual competition for the COC funds sometime in the next few weeks. And so we're beginning to rev the engines on our local process to go after those funds and hopefully get even more funding this year. We had a meeting last Friday of interested folks who, if there is another domestic violence bonus amount this year to go after, which we do anticipate, the agencies that would be partners in some sort of an application attended that meeting. So, and there was a lot of interest. So we'll keep you up to date on that. April and I are going to meet tomorrow afternoon and go over the expected timeline and make sure that that's fairly firm in both of our minds. And then we will probably have another meeting of the renewal agencies and any agencies that might be able to or interested in going after the regular bonus if that comes around this year as well. It's always hard to tell what time of year they're going to announce that notice, but we're anticipating it, shortly. There's a general membership meeting tomorrow of the COC. It is at 10:30 at the Nashville Rescue Mission, and there will be a vote on the Homelessness Planning Council members. So, I'm a little late in getting out the list of eligible voters per agency and per individual, but I'll be sending that out right after this meeting, along with the bios of the nominees for the Planning Council. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Susie. All right, Hannah will come up next with the HMIS monthly data report, followed by Ginger Hauser with the mayor's office report.
Good morning, everybody. Here's our monthly report for the month of May. 1,651 people experiencing homelessness have been housed in the past 12 months in Nashville. That is 127 people who were housed in the month of May. The largest place people were moving into was rapid rehousing at 42% of those people, but in something good that happened in May, we had larger proportions than normal of people moving in with housing choice vouchers, HUD-VASH vouchers, and permanent supportive housing. So those are all longer-term options that provide a lot of support for people who are exiting homelessness, so that's good. But as I've also noticed on the monthly report, the number of people we're housing for each 12-month period continues to decrease as we keep moving. So this is a 19% decrease from the previous 12 months of how many people were housed from homelessness, which represents 397 fewer people being housed.
Ginger had a great question on why are we housing less people, and just wanted you all to know within the last 2 years, we had a plethora of COVID CARES funds, ESG COVID CARES funds, and CDBG disaster relief dollars that are all coming to an end. They actually end September of 2023, but most agencies have already utilized all of those funds and expensed them down to pretty close to zero. I'm going to get a final number from Shelley at MDHA, and we'll have that for a report for next month.
Any questions for Hannah? All right, thank you, Ginger.
Good morning. Few things. So April had mentioned the portion of the Office of Homeless Services budget. So the Metro Council at their meeting on June 20th will have the new city proposed budget. The council has been working diligently on basically the substitute budget. It'll be up to the council whether they decide to vote on the substitute on the 20th or to hold a special called meeting. We are delighted that it is a robust budget proposed for the Office of Homeless Services, so we're delighted about that. I want to let you know that we've been working with Council Lady Evans on a resolution that she has. You all will remember that we used COVID dollars to purchase the pods that then we were not able to use. The council lady and other members of council had proposed a resolution asking for the city to basically create a plan, a multi-departmental plan on how can we begin to use those. We have been working together to find out what the stumbling blocks were. The stumbling block was essentially the state fire marshal. So we were not allowed to ever utilize them for temporary housing because the state fire marshal. We've been in conversation with the maker of the pods that we bought them from, Pallet Shelter, in conversations with their CEO and with the state fire marshal. Council Lady Evans went with me along with Metro officials last week. We met with the state fire marshal's office. We do have a pathway that they have agreed to. As long as we have a licensed engineer certified that they meet Metro codes, we will be allowed to use them. That is some progress. We talked to the head of Metro codes yesterday. He believes he has identified a Tennessee licensed engineer that will certify those. So I'll be working with the codes director and with Council Lady Evans to create that potential pathway. I believe we have around 100 of those pods. So I think if things move according to the pathway available to us, then I think it allows the council lady to begin to move forward on her resolution in the city to put a plan in place. And I think my hope would be, as we look at additional surges to get folks off the street and into at least temporary housing, that this could be an option that we employ in the future. So fingers crossed that we now have a pathway and that we will be able to use that investment. Additionally, I was along with the mayor at the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Columbus, Ohio, week before last. The new mayor of L.A., former Congresswoman Karen Bass, basically addressed the whole conference and said that the reason she resigned from Congress to run for mayor was because of the homeless and the unhoused situation in L.A. And I went to a special session that they had specifically on homelessness, and I can tell you almost every mayor that was at the conference came to that session. So just know some of the increase that we've had here is being felt all across the country as we begin to put together strategic plans to address this in a more effective way and get folks off the streets. So I was delighted to get to have some of those conversations with officials there at the conference. Additionally, we have had some recent correspondence with Shangri-La. You will remember they're an entity out of California. They explored purchasing a hotel and doing a hotel conversion. There have been probably a year and a half of conversations. We've checked back in with them. They do have an option on a hotel in Nashville. They have not closed on the property yet. They have been working with Metropolitan to create a pathway to utilize a hotel without having to go through a zone change, to have basically an occupancy permit that is restricted to a certain use. They believe their current sort of time frame right now is probably to close on the property by the end of 23, then go through a renovation, and that those units would come online, I believe, around a year from now. So I know we'd all love to have them available right now, but those will be units that, if this project continues to move forward, can be used for housing. So I wanted to let you know that those things that we've been talking about for a while are continuing to move. So I think those are the things that I have. I will say also that April and Stacy worked with the mayor's office. I don't know where those, oh, at the end? Okay. All right, stay tuned for a special presentation. I'll take any questions you have.
Thank you for mentioning the pods, because we've been also tracking that resolution. Can you talk a little bit more? I don't know if everybody's familiar with just what the original intention of the pods were and kind of how they're designed, just briefly.
Yes, and I can say I wasn't in this role at that time, but this is my understanding, is that we purchased them so as that COVID epidemic was occurring, and particularly at shelters where you didn't want to risk COVID spreading, they were to be used as temporary places to sort of isolate folks so that they could be housed and be healthy. We ran into the stumbling block and we're not really ever able to use them. Since we have invested in them, we're trying to look at other ways that we can increase basically the temporary housing supply. Okay. HHS money, not COVID money. Okay, thank you.
But it's COVID money.
Okay, all right. Well, the federal agency, all right, was HHS. They have been used in various places. One thing that we wanted to be conscious of is to space them far enough apart. So part of the conversations is how far apart is the right distance, just in case there is something that happens to one unit, it doesn't sort of spread throughout, let's say, a complex. So I think they landed on 10 feet apart so that we're conscious of any sort of fire hazards that could take place. They are meant to be temporary, and they are structured in a way in which they can be put up very quickly and taken down very quickly. So the provider of the pods was actually at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, so I was able to interface with the actual manufacturer and seller of the company, which allowed us to then have some direct line to the CEO as we debate the ability to utilize them. So does that answer your questions? Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Ginger. Moving forward to the Metro Property Utilization, Angie Howard, and just tell me when you want me to move to the next slide.
Sorry for everybody that has to look at me for about 10 minutes back here. So good morning. I'm Angie Hubbard, the Director of Housing with Metro Planning. Just a refresher since I haven't been here for a while. Our division's been around for about a year and a half. We're focusing on how we can create affordable housing opportunities from permanent supportive housing up to 60 or 75% AMI for rental, and then 80% for home ownership through a variety of resources, including creating mixed income housing. Daryl Hill attends these meetings from our team. He's here regularly so that he can bring back learnings from these meetings, and I meet with April on a regular basis so that we're super coordinated on how our division can support permanent housing opportunities for persons experiencing homelessness, getting them to stable housing. But so the topic du jour is how can we use Metro property for housing? It seems to be the silver bullet that everyone is talking about. Not so easy. So I'm going to start. Chair, if you'll go to next slide. And I've got to turn and look because I can't read that far away. So I'm going to give a little bit of context. So our division, as I mentioned, we've been around for about a year and a half. We're focusing on implementing the high-level recommendations of the Affordable Housing Task Force. Most of our first year was really around getting money and new programs established to get units in the pipeline. But another charge was to really look at how Metro properties could be utilized for housing. So I'm going to talk about two different types of Metro properties. One category are tax delinquent properties that the city acquires, unfortunately, when people aren't able to pay their property taxes. And then the other are what I call portfolio properties, and I'll explain what those are in a minute. Right now, only tax delinquent properties are really required to be evaluated to be used for housing. Both state and Metro laws do allow back tax properties to be used, to be granted to nonprofits for housing. And just so everybody knows, there is a public-facing list on the public property website that lists all of Metro-owned property. It's not hidden somewhere. Here's the link. They are updated every June, so it looks like a new set of a new list should be coming up anytime now. So with that, next slide, please. So with back tax properties, I don't know if you can see this flow chart, but the Office of Public Property that's under the Finance Department keeps a list of properties. When someone fails to pay their property taxes, there's a period of redemption, so the city holds those to make sure the owner doesn't pay those off. When the time comes that they're ready to be disposed of, they send our team the list of properties. We go through an evaluation on whether those properties are buildable or not, and I'm going to get into buildable in just a minute. When we say that they are buildable, we put them on a list to be made available in a Barnes Fund round. And so that makes it available to nonprofits. They can, apply, receive those properties, and build affordable housing. If we determine they're not buildable, then public property follows its process to surplus those either to the adjacent property owner or sell them. Thanks to Metro Council, a couple of years ago, they allow that the proceeds from those sales go to the Barnes Fund. So since we've started this process of making properties available for Barnes Fund grantees, we've awarded over 100 properties. One of the biggest issues that we have with tax delinquent properties is while the city currently holds them, we do nothing to clear the title. But they often have a lot of title issues and title needs to be insured before you can develop it. And nonprofits have borne the time and the cost of this, sometimes going into thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. And some of these properties that have been awarded several years ago still haven't been utilized. So we have a request in this current budget for the Housing Division to have funding to expedite title clearing so that we can take that on. And by the time that we then make it available for Barnes Fund usage, we can expedite that and that title's clear. So that's one way we want to activate the use of these properties faster. Next slide, please. So portfolio properties, this is probably when everybody talks about metro properties, what they're talking about. So we have 50 plus departments in metro that hold property. That, think of water, parks, schools, finance. They all have a portfolio of properties. When you look at the public property list, you can see that. They may be in use, or they may be vacant or underutilized. So what our team is doing, we don't, the housing division nor the planning department, we don't hold any property. We have no property that we can handpick and say, we can use this for housing. What we do is look at the map of properties, and we have some criteria that we're looking at. What's on or near a transit corridor? What's in a high opportunity area? We're really wanting to get housing in places where people have access to amenities and transit and walkability and services. When I talk about, next slide, I'm just going to walk through each of these. So buildable. The property has to be buildable. It can't have any kind of physical constraint, floodplain, or any other environmental issues. So a lot of folks see this massive list of 3,000 plus properties. How many of those were bought out from the floods? So those are permanently deed restricted for no housing. Other environmental issues might be hillsides, other things like that, where it's an environmental justice issue to even consider housing. The other one is we have minimum lot sizes. We just can't throw up housing everywhere. Our code has minimum sizes. We look to see what those are. And then it needs street frontage. You know, we can't say, here's a piece of property for housing and there's no way to get to it without some massive infrastructure improvements. The next thing about being buildable, if there are deed or funding restrictions. And so I have bond debt listed. This is something that has been a learning experience for me in the past few months as I'm working on development of another piece of property, is when we use GO bonds through the capital spending plan to purchase property, it doesn't necessarily make it not buildable. It limits our ability to do public-private partnership until that bond debt's paid off. So that makes us just think about how that site can be developed. But there are restrictions through a donation or another funding source. So for example, if a parks has a piece of property or schools that was donated to them and the deed that conveys the property says it must be used for an educational purpose or a parks purpose. If not, it comes back to the owner. Or if it's purchased with a federal funding source, like for example, federal highway dollars, MTA or WEGO might have used to purchase property, it may have to only be used for a transportation-oriented purpose. So those are all of the things that we have to go through to even think about whether or not we can even build on a metro piece of property. The second thing that we're looking at is whether it's appropriate. Again, location is one of the things that we're prioritizing as we go through this massive list. But another thing about location is I got a list with like 300 properties called vacant residential, 215 are owned by the airport. That's not an appropriate place to build housing. And a lot of them, too, we've got to think about asset security of our major infrastructure, like our water plants and things like that. So that's where location comes into play. Then we have to look at zoning and land use. We're targeting right now properties that don't need a rezoning or maybe a regulatory rezoning or something small without a big policy change. But as we get on in through working through the list, we may find others. Key, we got to have the council member supports. If the council member is not supportive, especially if it needs a rezoning, we can't carry this forward. We'll need the council member support to talk with the department if we really want to negotiate about making this property available for housing. Then, of course, if a rezoning is involved, we also look for community supports. Next slide, please. We have two really huge process requirements. These are both for, the departmental support for the portfolio properties is we just can't tell schools or water or parks, give us your property for housing. They've got to be able to, they must cooperate with us and say, we're willing to do this. And we do have some departments now that we're working with. But we also have to make sure no other department's interested in that property. So we have other capital needs, other operational needs of the city that we need to make sure that we're cooperating and collaborating with. We're really about how can we co-locate some metro needs with housing. That's a new thing that we're working on. But all property disposal, whether it's the tax delinquent properties or the portfolio properties, have to go through a mandatory referral. This is in the Metro Charter. Planning leads this. Whenever a property, when it gets ready for disposal or surplus, meaning it could transfer from water to another department, all the other departments get to weigh in through our computer system and put any conditions on it. For example, we might need to have an easement to access a greenway or utilities or a parks access. So we have to get all of that done before the legislation can even be filed. And council then ultimately approves all of the actions when it comes to property. So that's how complicated it is for us to try to work through this with over 3,000 or almost 3,000 properties on the Metro list. And so where are we now? What are we doing? So next slide, please. So we are working on some portfolio properties to make those available. These are usually 2 acres or above and really need more fidelity than just say, hey, we're going to make these available. We need to consider infrastructure, parking, whether there's a parking pocket park that a council member might want. Oh, thank you. Next slide, please. The other thing on Metro property is the 91-bed unit of permanent supportive housing that's being built on near 2nd and Gay. That's scheduled to come online, I believe, around in February. The city also purchased about 3 acres at 88 Hermitage that we're working on a feasibility study. There's a former school for the blind that we're looking to repurpose for a community-oriented use. We need to have some parking for those uses, as well as how dense can we have housing on there. So that's underway. We're almost about to wrap up with that. And then we're in the process of coming to council to award more properties through the round 11 of the Barnes Fund. And then what's upcoming? So we'll be getting a new list of tax delinquent properties from Metro, the Public Property Office, that will evaluate and put those out. Also, not every property that we've put out in previous rounds has been taken, so we'll add those back to the list, and that funding round should be coming out probably in September once we get through the budget cycle and know what our real funding looks like and can put those open an application round. I mentioned that we are requesting funding to expedite title clearing, and then another item in this year's budget is for 3 new staff with the planning department, not in the housing division. We're actually not planners, we're housing policy geeks. And but in the planning, our long-range planning likely will focus on really planning and designing what are the best uses, how can we get housing on with other uses, including looking at some property MMPS is looking to surplus back to the city for other uses. And I mentioned looking at the co-location of public and community opportunities in housing. Libraries and housing are not mutually exclusive. We can, and that's what we're really focused on. How can we really get housing where we see a lot of surface lots, along with the use that a community needs or desires. So I know that was a whole lot lot of information, but the big takeaway is it's not super easy, and we just can't look at a piece of property, pick it out, and say we're putting it out on the street. There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm glad to take questions now. Daryl's in the back if you all think of something later. I do have to get to another meeting, but he can take questions or take your questions, and I can respond back, and also get with April on if there's any follow-up information that you all desire. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. I think one question that comes to mind as you were speaking about the properties that come from tax sources. So I know in some of the mayoral forums that I've heard that there are people that would prefer to prevent, people from becoming homeless, and they would prefer that Metro not take those tax properties for this purpose. And so I'm curious if you all look at who's actually living in these tax properties versus where that might just be vacant land and those kinds of things, if you all break that down on your end.
So I've thought about that a lot. What comes to us is vacant land. I've never encountered a property where there's an existing home on it. It is our goal for people to stay in their housing. And so if that is our priority as well, but what we're getting are vacant parcels.
Thank you for clarifying that. And then the other question I had is, would you, because I don't think you said it, but when you and I met individually, we talked a little bit about schools property with, the idea of building housing on schools' land. But then one thing that stood out to me was if we went down that path, we could not restrict residents to being Davidson County residents.
So my understanding, and I believe legal counsel's here about residency requirements, that we get advice from that on not our ability not to impose residency requirements. I have talked and we've investigated a lot about doing industry-focused housing because there's a lot of Fair Housing Act implications when you focus on a specific job like teachers, because there may not be a representation of protected classes within that. But if we focus on people working in an education system and do mixed income housing, so we can get folks that are bus drivers, cafeteria workers, substitute teachers, administrators, all the way up through the spectrum. But the residency requirement is not something that we can impose.
Quick question around faith communities. We sit on property that is underutilized.
Yes, you do.
Well, I'm downtown Nashville. I don't, but others do.
Yeah.
So how do we leverage a conversation around what's possible? And is Metro in the process of doing that, or could we help others come around the table and start talking about what does the future of that property look like that's being underutilized?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. There is an organization called Think Tennessee that's been partnering with the Urban Institute and working with us to really evaluate the extent of property owned by faith communities, our colleges and universities, as well as our healthcare institutes to see, and the faith communities by far own the most of the land of all of those that could be developable. And our next step is bringing the faith communities together with the development community and us to talk about what resources are there. So that's something that we're working on for next steps. So be on the lookout for that. And April, I'll make sure and get your contact information, because we need all of the churches that are interested, or other faith-based organizations to who are interested. We need to know who they are so that we can make sure that they're plugged in this conversation. And there are some zoning provisions available for faith-based organizations.
I have a question and a statement, and one kind of leads into the other. Thank you for the information. that you gave us.
You're welcome.
Of course, as an outsider looking in, I didn't know that it was that technical and it was that complicated. My issue is, it seems to be a lot easier for this city to allow hotels and stuff to be thrown up very quickly than helping our citizens and helping our friends that's on the street with housing. Now, I understand your department is doing your best, trying to find the right zone, trying to find the right area where there's buses and stuff like that. Great job on your behalf. I'm just very irritated at the fact that you seem to be at the bottom rung when it comes to being able to have properties for people to build off of, especially the nonprofit community. So for me, it sounds like if the nonprofits are able to purchase the land for the deed or the list or whatever it is, they have to raise X amount of money just to get their foot in the door. And then it's up to the council person to say yay or nay. I have a huge problem when the council person seems to be the judge, jury, and executioner of the plan. Now, maybe because I'm an outsider looking in and I don't deal with the technical or the business side of this. But don't that seem a little off when we got 15 projects being built right now for hotels and restaurants and other stuff that doesn't really help the city and its citizens, but more or less other people that's moving here?
So if I could clarify, those projects are not on any property that was owned by the Metropolitan government. We cannot control a private sale between a private owner and a private buyer. One of the things we've done, a lot of, historically, the commercial side of things got incentives to do things. We have now introduced incentives for housing that mirror a lot of what the economic development side has done. What we make available to nonprofits are not sold, they are granted, so they are not having to purchase those. The other thing with making them through the Barnes Fund, they actually have to get money through the Barnes Fund to get the property. So they're actually tapping into a funding source to help them develop that property too. So those are some distinguishing characteristics between what's happening in that economic development space and what we're doing in the housing space with the property.
So, okay. Like, I understand a little bit better, but it is quite irritating to know that y'all kind of need a bigger piece of the pie and y'all fighting tooth and nail and still not receiving what y'all need to receive to make things better. So I guess we need to start questioning more of the council people and getting them on board more so we can push more, so we can get more, so we can at least plug one leak out of a faucet that's constantly spewing. So thanks for the information.
You're welcome.
We're going to take one more question, and then, as requested, due to respect of her time, if you all could then just email questions or also follow up with her colleague in the back. But Deanna, if you would proceed.
Oh, last question. I'm terrible at math, never been really good at it. I think what I always try to hone in on, and maybe I'm happy to make an appointment with you just because I'm really curious, is I'm always looking for a number, right? So I hear 91 units from what's being built and will come online in about a year, what Shangri-La may be doing a year from now. I'm trying to get a sense of like what would be the potential number of units based on kind of where we are today and the metro properties that are under consideration that are buildable.
Yes, thank you for that. Our team is actually, and actually it's a result of council legislation that was passed for us to create a housing dashboard that shows what we have now and what is in the pipeline. And so we've got a June 30 deadline to do our first big lift of that. I'm working on building a website, but that link regardless will be public and we can email it out so that everyone can see. And we've been working closely with April and getting data from Hannah on the permanent supportive housing number, so we make sure we're carrying that in our dashboard as well. And then as we build out our dashboard, we're going to have a lot more deeper information to not just, it'll be Barnes, it'll be our new programs, it's the gamut of what we're looking at, and then how many properties have been utilized and what units have been created or will be created on those. So yeah, that's actually in the works and will be public facing so that you don't have to like email us and ask for that information. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you so much. We will follow up when that is available, and perhaps maybe late fall, Angie can come back and talk about the dashboard once it's up and have, I guess it's probably user-friendly. Sometimes that takes a minute. So thank you so much for that. At this point, we will move forward with our collaborative applicant ad hoc committee report. As you all know, at the last HPC meeting, an ad hoc committee was formed at the request of the COC to review the process. And so Giovanni Aco is going to give that report, and she is towards the back. So if you all could turn to receive the report.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me? I would like to thank the ad hoc committee for working diligently to ensure that we have a process for the designation of the collaborative applicant and the HMIS lead. The ad hoc committee has met twice and plans to meet every other week until the tasks requested by the general membership and approved by the HPC are accomplished. The group so far has discussed the task at hand, which included a review of the role of the collaborative applicant as defined by HUD and in our local COC charter. We have reviewed the charter language about selecting a new collaborative applicant designee and reviewed meeting notes from 5 years ago when the community last pursued a change in the collaborative applicant and HMIS lead. The group reviewed steps drafted by the local HUD technical assistant providers, as well as research processes utilized by other COCs across the country. The committee understands the urgency of this task and will work quickly and efficiently as possible while ensuring a keen eye for best practices. In the next meeting, the group plans to confirm a time frame for developing for this process and will report out as soon as possible. The group has decided that the best avenue that allows a clear, fair, and transparent process is a request for proposal process for the collaborative applicant. And that phrase could change. It could be request for information, request for consideration. But again, the concept will remain the same. The process allows any eligible entity locally to declare interest in filling the role. It also gives the community insight into how the interested entities will be able to perform the task at hand. The use of a request for proposal process is a well-respected avenue used by the continuum of care across the country to select COC roles, i.e. the collaborative applicant and HMIS lead. For that reason, the ad hoc committee has several examples from COCs as the starting point. The ad hoc committee is reviewing these examples to help develop a local request for proposal process. Again, The process will be owned by the general membership. There are still details to be worked out about how the process will work and how a review and vote will be accomplished by the general membership according to the local COC charter. This process will create and give space as often as possible for community input. We plan to have a public comment period before anything is finalized. We will plan to give updates regularly so that all parties can plan and prepare for the next steps as they are identified. Currently, the committee's next steps include firming up a time frame for the entire process and developing the request for a proposal process and discussing a path for evaluation for the collaborative applicant and the HMIS lead performance locally. And our next meeting is June the 22nd. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you to the committee for their work. You all can stay facing that way because we now will have a report from Ms. Elena Boyer, which would be the racial equity review, data review.
Hello and good morning, everybody. I do not have a scripted report out as our previous update, but I did want to share with you a little bit what the data committee is doing, and I invite Beth and Hannah to chime in because I'm likely probably going to leave out some information. But over the past couple of months, the data committee has been looking at some data that Hannah graciously provided for us, and I've also had some meetings with the Diversity and Equity Committee where we presented it, and hopefully we can continue to work collaboratively over the data that we're seeing. So before and I think some of you might have it in front of you, just a few of the graphs today. But before I get started, I think there's two things I just want to point out, because it's very easy to look at data, especially with the PIT coming out last month, to want to compare and contrast and make conclusions about what's going on. But the data that I'm showing you right now is from a specific time frame. So this data that I'm going to be sharing about, where we were looking at more in-depth race and equity data, is from October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about the PIT report that came out, and just kind of, I think that's important when you look at the data. And what was going on at that time. Obviously, COVID, public health emergencies were in place, rental relief was in place during this time too. So the other thing I want to point out is this is data coming from HMIS, and I want to be clear about what it is and what it is not, and Hannah, definitely chime in if I'm getting this wrong, but this is really looking at the performance of the system. So looking at an individual once they enter into coordinated entry, once into HMIS, and they move through the system to exiting in housing. This is not necessarily a vision of what homelessness looks like in Nashville. I think it's a component, and I think it provides insight, but one of the things that I'm looking for, and we're discussing with the HMIS Oversight Committee, is increasing coverage. So what I'm thinking, or what I'm sharing with you today, is back in my other days when I was a bench scientist, the output of the data is only as good as the data that's going into the system. So if we're missing a lot of folks, that's how you have to look at the data on the back end. I don't want to call it a limitation because our HMIS is extremely robust. They've made great waves. It's just a bigger conversation about how do we engage folks to participate in HMIS. So. And seeing the value of what we can really do with that. And I think having data allows us to do two things. It allows us to look at our gaps, kind of like what we're doing right now with race and equity, but it also allows us to have stronger predictions, since we know that some gaps analysis has been going on, but it makes those assumptions tighter. So there's value in inputting data into HMIS, whether you're HUD funded or not, but it gives us more robust power. So now to the data. Sorry about that speech, but I feel very passionate about HMIS. So if you're looking at your graphs, again, this time frame is October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. And the first top two graphs of what we're actually looking at are just the demographic of what's in the system. So this is not looking at, and let me say, HMIS is measuring exits, days homeless, and returns to homelessness, again, of what's in the HMIS system. And so just looking at the overall cohort or group or population that was in there during this time, 52, just looking at adults only, 52% were African American, 39% were white non-Hispanic. And we can get deeper in this. We did this easier for digestion, and we can go deeper, segregate the race and ethnicity out into better categories too. So, and then looking at the graph on your top right, again, we're just looking at the overall population of who was in the system at that time, and this is just looking at families. So 67% of families that were in HMIS during this time were African American, 21% were white non-Hispanic. And a little bit more background to this population that was in the system during this time. We had 48% African Americans that were adults only. This top one was all households. And then child and family during that time, 67, like I said, were African American and Black. Looking at days homeless was really interesting. The graph I'm showing you on what you have in front of you is looking at families. So we saw Black families spending days homeless at 146 days, white families at 110 days. So there's some disparity there. When looking at individuals, so adults only, so not families, 153 days were spent homeless for African Americans, and 148 days were spent homeless by whites and African Americans. So that's almost a week longer spending homeless for African American adults than their counterparts. When looking at exits and destinations by race and family, we see that for Black families that were in the system again during this time, which were 67%, 81% were sent to permanent housing, and 59% of white families were sent to permanent supportive housing. I think some of the things that we're noticing here in terms of disparities is not necessarily the system itself, but again, like we said, how is that data getting into the system, and what are some biases or disparities that are happening on that ground? And some things that we do know are still increasing is increasing the street outreach numbers into the system. We have some, but we would love to increase that. Again, going back to the coverage issue, making sure we have shelters that might have high populations of specific minority groups, kind of specifically thinking about Latinx groups. Are those shelters being put in there as well? So those can be reasons why we're seeing these disparities in the system itself. So looking at the root cause of why this data looks different can be important for us as well. Going to relative to the PIT count, and again, now we're switching frame of mind. So PIT count, which was done this past January, we saw an increase of 6% in African American, 28% African American unsheltered, and 51% African American in shelter. What some of this also tells us too is where groups are most kind of grouped together. So knowing that we see a lot more Black families in shelters versus out on the streets. So this data is really important in telling us how we're doing in terms of entering people and encounters in data and where we go. And that's how we're hoping to use the data. Beth, I feel like you can help put in some more context too in terms of what maybe this data can do in terms of predictability and beds moving forward. I don't know if anybody wants to share, but comments? Questions?
So I just want to highlight a little bit of what Elena said, and thank you for that, and thank you, Hannah, for the data. Most of this comes from HMIS, and when the largest shelter in the county does not participate in HMIS, that means our data are severely limited there. The PIT count has its own limitations. It's a one-night count. But it does, and we miss people. We know we miss people. But it also gives us some information that's really important. And one piece of what Elena said that I really want to highlight is that for the PIT, we found that 64% of people who were unsheltered were white, compared to 45% of people who were sheltered. And 28% of unsheltered people were Black or African American, compared to 51% of people who are sheltered. And what that means is that if we are giving priority to encampments, we are giving priority to white people. And we're seeing that African Americans are staying longer in the HMIS data than white folks are in being homeless. And we also see that some of our recent actions are prioritizing essentially white folks. And I think that's a racial equity concern.
Any other questions? Deanna, are you asking to speak? I can't see. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I always feel like I always have data questions. I'm just a random thought. Does it make sense to incentivize use of HMIS, for the city to incentivize use of HMIS? And where can that be a budget line item to pursue?
Thanks for that question. I know for over 10 years, you all have heard that our largest shelter is so close to entering their data. I do want to celebrate. I know we've talked about it for 10 years now. I do want to celebrate Hannah and myself. We had a wonderful conversation. We've been having monthly, sometimes twice a month conversations with that shelter. And yesterday we identified the final 3 steps that need to happen in order for them to come on. So that's negotiating the cost, already resolved the MOU, and having a face-to-face or virtual conversation with our vendor. They're on board. They're excited to be on board, and they know this has been a long time coming. So I would be remiss if I did not say and acknowledge that the largest shelter in Nashville, with the speed of Hannah, myself, and our Wells Guys vendor, should be online here shortly. So there I give a date, right? But I want you all to know that. Also, so that's something to celebrate. There's been a lot of work put into that. And I know that speed and level of trust didn't just happen here. So I want to acknowledge that. Also, there is 2 HUD work groups that you got, Jim? Sorry. There's 2 HUD work groups that we're participating in. There is a housing-focused HUD work group that meets once a month. You have the option to meet twice a month if you want to go to the work group session. So that's something that my housing department and outreach team, we're actively involved in that. And the meeting yesterday was all about equity and equity across your system. So I want you to know that we are addressing that with HUD and other communities on a larger scale. And then last but not least, there is also another equity and diversity group that I meet with monthly as well that talks about exactly what Dr. Beth Shin just announced, is focusing on those that are the most vulnerable, living outside. And, on that call, I am the city that actually has the highest length of stay outside. And so, we're talking about that and what does that do for our numbers and how do we have an equitable response to that. So I want you to know we are getting some, and then there is HUD TA that we are partnering with through our coordinated entry system as well. So there's like 3 different areas where we are looking to focus on that because, I am an African-American female, and I must say it's not lost on me that we are looking to house people in an encampment that may have the highest population of white people. But when we're looking at an equitable response, we also have to take in their vulnerabilities as well and their length of stay. So it is important to me as well. I want you all to know that.
So there are 2 kinds of vulnerability. There's individual vulnerability, a person who has a mental illness, a person who has a disability of some sort, and there's structural vulnerability. There is both historical discrimination that leads to much less wealth in the African American community, and for poor people, wealth is largely tied up in housing, so that folks of color have fewer resources in their network. And there's present day discrimination. It's blatantly illegal, but it's rampant. So if you send out resumes that have white names like Emily or Greg versus black names that like Lakeisha and Jamal, the percentage of callback, and you look at the percentage of callbacks to those resumes, the privilege of having a white name is equivalent to 8 years of experience. 8 years of experience for being Emily rather than being Lakeisha, right? And HUD does paired testing. It sends out white folks and black folks, or it sends out people with disabilities and not disabilities to apply for the same rental units. And if the African American gets less sales effort, is shown fewer units, finds that units are no longer available, is asked for a bigger security deposit, any of those, and not any of the opposite, that's discrimination. It's illegal, and it's rampant. We do a much better job of documenting it than we do of enforcing the law. And so we need to balance the individual vulnerabilities that are real and the structural vulnerabilities that make it the case, that are the reason that we have more African Americans who are homeless than their proportion in the population. And so it's a balancing act. It's really tough to say, you know, how much do you give to each of these kinds of considerations. But I just want to urge us to, and I know you're thinking about it, April, to urge us to continue to think about how we can try to move forward with equity. And that's going to mean paying some attention to folks who are in shelter and not just folks who are outside.
That is one thing that I forgot to explain. The one work group is the individual, and the larger work group that we're on is the structural. There was maybe 3 to 4 weeks of historical information provided by HUD that went way deep into the housing disparities and discrimination of long ago and kind of how we are where we are now. And I think it's beneficial that we share that with our community as well. So I'm going to work on getting that PowerPoint to share, but both of those 2 work groups are explaining and discussing exactly what you have identified.
Oh, sorry. Just to close out, I was just going to say that this conversation is also happening on the federal level. So I know that for HMIS and trying to figure out how to look at data quality for HMIS. So I think it's also moving up that route too to help support communities and COCs. So, all right.
All right, thank you so much, Elena, and your committee. There will be more to come as we continue to work on being a more racially equitable city. Moving forward with our strategic plan refresh, Mr. Jeff Gibson.
Thank you. Last year sometime, the Strategic Planning Committee undertook to refresh the existing strategic plan. Our goal was to come up with an overarching strategy document as opposed to a document that descended to the level of specificity that the prior strategic plan or I'm not even sure I'd call it a strategic plan, but the prior plan set forth. As you'll recall, we submitted a draft strategic plan to this body and to the COC last fall, I think. The overwhelming feedback was that it needed to be more specific. And so a reconstituted strategic planning committee has worked over the past several months to build out some more detail into the strategic plan. The revised draft was submitted to you in advance of this meeting. What you'll see is we focused on building out details under each of the objectives. So there are 2 main overarching goals, each of which has 4 objectives, and the plan now includes quite a bit of detail about specific steps that, or strategies, action items, whatever you want to call them, that we believe should be undertaken to actually achieve the objectives and ultimately the goals. If you've had an opportunity to review this, we'd certainly, welcome some feedback now. I think the more efficient course is the next step is for us to send this out to the COC and solicit public comment over the next 30 days. If you have specific revisions, thoughts, suggestions, we'd welcome that you submit those, and they'll be considered with an eye toward presenting, I guess, what would be close to a final version to this body, probably at the next meeting. If not, then the August meeting.
Thank you so much for your leadership and your committee as well. So hopefully everyone is clear what will happen after this meeting. This will be sent out. There will be the opportunity for public comment. At that time, we welcome feedback and suggestions. Once the public comment has been received, the committee will then go back and then come forward, I'm guessing by the August HPC. Okay, moving forward with board matters and committee updates. So we do have the shelter committee update that is on here by Kathy Jennings, but she is unable to be here, and I'm sure we'll be excited to share with everyone that she is becoming a new grandma today. So good thoughts and vibes sent her way for her daughter. And I don't think she has another representative, but that committee continues to be at work, and so we will put them forth at the next agenda, on the next agenda. Which leads us to the independent investigative report, which has been sent out by legal. It also was sent out to you all prior to this meeting, along with the meeting notice. At the last meeting, Councilwoman Sepulveda asked what was the outcome. The ad hoc committee has given their report, and so the report has been sent for review. But at the last meeting, I did promise that because the report was not before you all in written form, that I did want to allow time today for us to review anything from the investigative report. And for those who do not know, this report was at the request of Councilwoman Welch, and I think there were also some concerns through the HPC as well, and possibly the COC around inappropriate behavior and approaching employers. And so what was decided, there was an outside attorney and his team that conducted this report. And so what you have before you is the results of that report. And if you really look at, I guess, towards the back of those pages, around page, really looking at the conclusion, which would be starting about page, I would say 7 or 8. 8 is where the conclusion is. And again, there were recommendations in terms of HPC members and us getting a more, I think, detailed, which we are aware of, some more details within our bylaws on how to handle these types of situations. And then also so basically, let me read what the conclusion was. The undersigned determines that the Welch's allegations of unethical conduct are unfounded. The undersigned strongly encourages the HPC to establish a policy or protocol detailing expectations of HPC members' conduct in HPC meetings and in their interactions with each other, and how to address concerns when conduct is alleged to fall short of those expectations. The undersigned also recommends that Metro revises its anti-discrimination, anti-harassment, and workplace conduct policies to expressly address steps employees should or may take when experiencing inappropriate conduct from a third party or non-employee. But this is a 9-page report. I encourage folks to review it. But to follow up from the last HPC, I did want to offer the opportunity for us to have any discussion if you also desire. So at this time, we will open it up for any questions or comments. Yes, Councilwoman Evans.
Thank you. Can you clarify if Ms. Gornick was interviewed as part of this process? It doesn't look like she was in the document, and I just wanted clarification.
Are you aware of that?
We don't have a list of the people that he interviewed.
I guess, is that something as part of the revision of policies that could be included, like if there were ever a future need to review, that would be something that would be publicly available?
Oh, from the report of who was interviewed?
Yeah, like if we have to revise or if we're recommended to revise policies, is that a policy change we could look at as making that something that's known? I don't know if that would need to be something that's privileged. I don't.
I think that's out of my area expertise because I'm not legal. So I think I would refer to legal on that in terms of what their ethical rules are. Like attorney-client privilege.
It depends, but in this case,
Can you use a microphone?
Don't have one this time. Sorry. I mean, in some cases, there could be an attorney-client privilege. Here, I don't know that there was an attorney-client privilege attached to this investigation. I mean, the gentleman that, I'm sorry? The gentleman that conducted the investigation happens to be an attorney, but I don't believe it was an attorney-client privileged type of investigation. And the opinion is a public record, so the contents of the report is a public record, and likewise his work was done as a matter of public interest. So I just don't believe in this particular type of investigation that would apply. If he was being consulted for a legal analysis, that would have been different. And sometimes, for example, the legal department didn't conduct the investigation so that we can remain objective and neutral to provide legal advice. So to answer your question in short, it just depends. If it's a type of investigation like this, certainly the participants could be identified had the author chosen to do so. But again, on a case-by-case basis, I could give you an actual opinion of whether attorney-client privilege would apply, but I don't believe it does in this case.
Sure, I appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we will move forward in our agenda to Derek again for public comment policy.
I'm sorry. We're going to have to sit close, job. You won't be able to take action today because there is not an actual quorum present. So I do have a recommendation for the executive committee when it puts together next month's agenda that the first action item on the agenda be for this body to debate, discuss, and adopt a public comment policy. The state legislature, I'll give you just a brief summary of the legal analysis that was in your packet. And we're providing that. We're not privileging that advice. We're giving advice, though, related to the state legislature amended the Open Meetings Act recently. The effects of that or actually the amendment doesn't go into effect until July 1, so it will be in place at your next meeting. It affects all types of local governmental bodies. And what it provides for is that you have to provide for the public's ability to speak. And that doesn't exclude the right, if the public so wishes, to send in written public comment too. They're not exclusive, but you must allow for actually spoken comment. But it also provides in the amendment subject to reasonable regulations. And so that gets into, they obviously, the state legislature that is, recognized that a meeting could be completely limited to only public comment if enough speakers show up and you don't have any rules to constrain that. Now, general rules of appropriate conduct and things like that would still apply whether adopted or not. In other words, if someone makes threatening or intimidating statements at a meeting, there are mechanisms for law enforcement to become involved if necessary. But if it's just regular public comment, the public is entitled to speak now, effective July 1. In order for the old expression, and there could be a run on the bank, if 5,000 people showed up to make public comment and there wasn't a limit on the number that could speak, it could just overburden the system. So trying to parse that with the amount of time allotted to your meetings and how many people could speak, we've given advice or a recommendation that 5 speakers that show up at the meeting and sign up at the meeting to actually speak would be a reasonable number. You could grant more than your pleasure, but you do have to be aware of your time constraints and limits. The comments are to be limited to action items on the agenda. If you don't have action items on your agenda, there is no public comment because there's nothing being debated for which business will be conducted. We also, I believe, recommended thinking you got an hour-and-a-half meeting. If you devote 10 minutes to public comment, you still would have an hour and 20 minutes or a little more time to conduct business. The public comments, it's recommended, should come before the meeting. Discussion of business, because after you've conducted the business, what the public comment may or may not be of much impact or effect, except for you to reconsider your actions at a subsequent meeting. The 2-minute time spans seem to be fair per participant that's allowed to speak. And so that's kind of just giving you some of the analysis that went into that. But again, it is within your discretion, and you can go with longer limits or perhaps even lesser ones. But we believe those are defendable as reasonable time and number constraints. And I'll welcome any questions if you wish to hear them or wish to have any other advice that I might be able to offer.
All right, so we will pick this back up at the July meeting. As you all have before you, the public comments that have been submitted through the proper channels are before you. They were also emailed to you prior to today's meeting, and as normal policy, you all are welcome to read those. With that being said, we will now move forward to our story of progress. And today, we just wanted to do something a little bit different. We recognize that some people will be rolling off, and this is their last meeting. So one of the things that we wanted to do is to make sure we took time out to show our appreciation for your time and commitment to not just this council, but also to the cause. I know oftentimes there has been some tension. There have been some things that we have agreed to disagree on or just flat out disagreed. And so one of the things is that, as I have always said, that the role and the purpose of this is that we try to manage our stuff, because we all know we do bring that to the table. People, are experiencing all sorts of personal issues and things that are going on. So it is my hope, one, that people are taking care of themselves, utilizing benefits, so that we can try to curb some of that coming to the table in the work that we do. But also our main goal, as we are often reminded, Giovanni likes to remind us, which is so appropriate, is that this is a matter of life and death, the work that we are doing. And so I appreciate you all participating in this work, not just myself, but I know those who have benefited and who have been housed, and then also the supportive staff as well as the mayor's office. And so what we wanted to do today was to actually give you all some certificates of recognition by the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County on behalf of the office of the mayor. And this will be your certificates and what they look like. And so I know some some people have had to leave, so we will make sure that they receive those. But those of you all who are present, just know we truly do appreciate you taking your time out, because we know this is on top of the million of other things that you have to do. And sometimes these types of roles are really thankless. But know that today we express our sincere appreciation to each of you, even those who are continuing to go another year. And so with that being said, if I call your name, if you'll come up and receive your certificate of recognition, we would just like to honor you. Alex Smith. Thank you, Alex. And Beth Shin. Thank you for all that you have done and continue to do. So maybe afterwards what we'll do is just get a group picture. Vicky Batcher. She's not here, so we'll make sure folks get these. Tracy Pekovich, I'm not sure why I can't act like. Jeff Gibson. Thank you. Ryan Lampa. Father Charles Strobel. And Sheila Decker. So we will make sure that they are in receipt of these.
Also, one more thing I do want to announce. Some of the people that are ending their 3-year term are actually on the nominating slate to possibly be reelected. But we wanted to at least acknowledge your 3-year term today.
So let me do this, just because I do recognize our time. I just want people to be mindful. We're going to get this picture, but I also want to be mindful of your next meeting and important dates that are coming up. And I wanted to open it up really quickly. Wendell, did you have a comment? We can look at that. Let's do that afterwards. Any other questions? Ms. Robb, Alan Robb.
Just to speak to Pastor Handy's point about engaging with faith-based communities, there is it's a church on Clarksville Highway. We'd actually just asked them to come to one of our health department meetings to present on the development of their property and their approval to build multi-unit housing on their church property. So I'd be happy to, if you're not already aware, happy to make that connection.
Okay, so y'all know how I am about this time. We started 15 minutes late, so that's why we're ending 14 minutes after 10 o'clock. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day. Those of you all, if we could then get the picture opportunity, otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.